When did you know Ken Griffey Jr. was going to be special?
Oh, he was in the locker room, and he was the biggest thief that he stole everything out of my locker. He would come in, all of a sudden something would be missing. And they just look like, I don't know what you're talking about. He and his brother Craig.
Yeah.
But there you go. And if you left your locker empty, it had anything in it, it was gone.
Well, what were they taking?
And it would be batting gloves. It would be, anything, shirts, whatever somebody left. Whatever somebody left. It was like.
Okay. So you knew he was going to be a thief early in life, but when did you know he was going to be great?
But as an athlete at high school, he was talked about with Moeller. I mean, just there wasn't anything he couldn't do. I went to the pool one day, and he's doing these backflips and stuff and diving like he was the most natural kid you ever saw in your life.
Because he was a good football player, too.
Oh, he could do it all. And the thing that I think about Kenny was that he didn't want to be it. He just wanted to play. He didn't want the spotlight. And even when he went to Seattle, he just sort of slid under it. When he got to Cincinnati, it was the second coming of God.
Yeah.
When he got traded back there.
Yeah.
And it just really, he just wanted to be Kenny. He was just one of the nicest guys and most talented guys you've ever seen.
But don't you see that with Mike Trout? That I don't think Trout wants to be. I think he's trying to keep.
He's the best.
He wants to be himself, but we want him to be bigger than the sport.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think he embraces that.
No, But, for what he does and the way he carries himself, I think it's phenomenal for how he does it.
Yeah.
Because he could if he wanted to. But somehow the upbringing, the parents, his environment was always so special to him that he respected that. In 1966, I was in the Carolina League, and they asked me about what I wanted to do. And I said, well, I had talked about the fear of failure in 1966. But it wasn't failing myself. It was failing all of those people back home. All those people that believed in me, all those people that picked up a newspaper. I couldn't imagine something happening. I did something, and my parents had to face what they, And I talked about that, and I just think that Mike Trout is, to me, the epitome of what baseball players are. I mean, it's just so humble and so great and so talented. He hits the ball, he ducks his head, he runs, and, he doesn't try to show anybody up, and we're blessed with a lot of great talent. I mean, we're seeing that. I mean, some fun stuff last night at the home run derby, and people said, "Did you ever have a home run derby?" I said, "Yeah, every game, every batting practice. And so here we are, Cubs, right?
Paulie.
I'm sorry. 1965 was my high school my last year. The scout for the Chicago Cubs' name was Billy Capps, and he loved me. He wanted me so badly, and he brought his supervisor down, and I went 1 for 4. And he said, stay over. We just got back from a senior trip. Stay over. He said, I can't. So the next night I went 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, 2 home runs. And the Cubs decided they'd try to draft me in the 3rd round.
I'm going to go jump out the window real quick.
But think about it. I may not have beat out Hundley because they moved me up quickly. I could have been 22 or 23 by the time I got in the major league.
We would have been patient, Mr. Bench.
Okay,
we needed you.
Randy Hundley was underrated, though.
Oh, he was fabulous.
Now,
He and Grody.
Did he teach you to put your hand behind your back?
No, I broke my thumb twice.
With a foul tip? Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is stupid. I got this round glove, and it's hard to miss that thumb. I don't know if you've said this thumb right here. It's hard to miss that. And I broke it twice, and I said, this is stupid. And I saw Randy had caught like 160 games, and he was using it. So when I got there, I just stuck my hand down and stuck it out of the way, and I never had another broken bone in my right hand. It was just something I had to do. And I have a book called Catch Every Ball, How to Handle Life's Pitches. And people come up to me and say, my kid wants to be a catcher. What do I tell them? Just catch every ball. If you learn to catch every ball, the same thing in life. But catching every ball, all of a sudden say, man, this guy can really catch, or this lady can really catch.
Did you have knuckleballs? I'm trying to think who you would have caught.
We had a guy named Aubrey Gatewood in AAA in 1967. And he was a journeyman, and he was on the way out, so he decided he'd throw the knuckleball. I mean, it was embarrassing. I don't care. I don't care how good a hands you are. This thing is dodging and bopping. And so Aubrey didn't make it, and I came to the major leagues, and I did it, and I was very good. I went along, no knuckleballers. And Sparky called me in the office one day.
Sparky Anderson, the manager.
Oh, yeah, the great. He said, John, we have a chance to trade for Negro. What do you think? I said, I think you better trade for his catcher, too. I'm not going up there.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. A lot of things to get into with Johnny Bench. We're back after this on the Dan Patrick Show. Hall of Famer Johnny Bench, Big Red Machine, joining us here in the Man Cave. It is weird, though. You get to this point in my career where you start to meet people that you watched on TV or you looked up to. And I don't know our age difference here, but it's like meeting you, meeting Jerry West, meeting some of these people, and it's like...
Feel the same way.
Man.
I saw Jerry at a show, I'm telling you, the Zeke from Cabin Geek, and then I found out he doesn't like to be called Zeke. I read his book, West by West.
Yes.
And he didn't like it. He dealt with a lot of different things and everything else, but, he was still... He had that blue blazer on. He had that
he
tie.
still looks great.
It was GQ all the way. And, it was just because when I'm a kid in the gym, shooting, Hot Rod Hundley and Jerry West. And so you still... I'm still in awe of a lot of these guys. And, I'm 70 years old in December. I asked a lady friend of mine, I said, do I look 70? And she said, no, but you used to. And
wow. Is that your wife who said that?
Yeah, what was her name? Oh, yeah, Plaintiff, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I got that one.
Help me remember the story about Doc Ellis against the Big Red Machine. So Doc Ellis was pitching for the Pirates.
In Pittsburgh.
And he was trying to hit every member of the
he had taken LSD because he wanted to see what it was like to pitch on LSD.
But did you know that there was something off about?
Well, after he hit the first three guys and missed me twice, yeah, we thought, I'm going like this. He hit the first three guys, and then I ducked twice, and then they came out and took him out.
And then you later found that he was
that's what
taking
we were
acid,
told.
right?
That's what we were told. Yeah, he sort of said that he thought it was a good idea to try it.
But did anybody think about going to the mound, going after him?
No, that was what we did every series. We fought every series. Bruce Keeson, Candelaria.
It was a great rivalry.
Oh, it was unbelievable, and they were good.
Oh,
they were really good. If we're not there, the Big Red Machine's not there, Pittsburgh would have been known as one of the great teams. Period. They were that good. They had Hebner and they had Robertson. They had
Clemente and Stargill.
Yeah.
Al Oliver.
Oh man, could he hit? Yeah.
But Clemente,
Cash.
I try to tell people that there was a gracefulness about Clemente. Like you had a great arm.
Silk.
Oh, I
played with him in Puerto Rico in winter ball.
Yeah.
He was a hypochondriac, man. He did, well, I say that, but I think he just didn't want to go warm up. I think he just didn't care about it because he played the season. He played hard.
Yeah.
But we'd be in there and he'd be in the training. Oh, my back is killing me. Oh, my neck is killing me. And then the game would start and he would put on the cape and fly over and jump over buildings, and he was turning around and throwing it from the fence at 100 miles an hour. And a great teammate. Just, so sad.
But Stargill, when Stargill... Now, you had certain guys. Frank Howard was 6'7". Like, you have Aaron Judge now, but Frank Howard was a big dude. Willie Stargill was a big dude.
Willie McCovey.
Willie McCovey. I couldn't imagine being a first baseman when Stargill or McCovey came to the plate.
I heard you talking something about the metal bats, and we saw these kids last night launching it into the back rows and everything else. And that was, I loved that. I love those kids. They just went up there and just right out.
Yeah.
It just wasn't any hesitation. And here you got the major leaguers, they're barely squeaking it over the fence, and they're hitting in the last row. And, of course, it's metal, but that was special. But for me, McCovey was the guy I could never pitch to. I had no pitcher that could have a pitch to get him out. I had every other player I thought I could get out, but not with McCovey.
So you could pitch to Mays more than you could McCovey.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Willie, he was all-time greatest. Willie was in 1960. I played my first All-Star game in the Astrodome. And I'm sitting there in my locker. I was chosen as this alternate catcher. I'm sitting in my locker. I got my feet tucked in. I don't want to trip anybody. And here sits Willie right across from me. And he walks across the room. He said, "You should have been the starting catcher."
Oh, and that high-pitched voice.
And that was it. Oh, yeah, Willie. So then Willie and I got along forever. I don't know. It was just a great reaction. And so he's down there, and he's got that swing going. You know how he spreads out, and he's got that hung and everything else. And I'm just sitting there. And he steps out after about 8 or 10 swings. He said, "You gonna call a pitcher what?" I said, "Yeah, as soon as you quit looking back here." He'd swing his head back every time. His head would be going back and forth to see my sign. So, "Oh, man, you got me."
How often were guys doing that?
Oh, Peanuts Lowry was the first base coach for the Giants. Every time he would always tip off pitches because every pitcher basically tips of some. He's got his glove. He'll open it. He'll do it. He'll squeeze it. He'll get the seams behind his back. So if Peanuts called it, called a pitch and he hit a home run, Peanuts got a new suit. So Peanuts was always trying to find something to do it. Oh, I mean, if you tell me what's coming, I'll hit 700. I mean, that's the difference in what it makes to know what's on the way.
Wait, so you would want to know if somebody...
Oh, boy, yeah.
So if somebody's at second base, like if Pete's at second base or Joe Morgan's at second base, would they signal to you?
No, they never did that because you get beamed on that. They thought you were stealing signs. They'd throw it right at your head. I mean, we didn't mess around. Like, some of the guys now today,
yeah,
they're leaning over and strutting and looking and, they're standing there taking 32 seconds to get around the bases. Oh, they're going down.
Who went after you? Who really tried to hit you? Aside from Doc Ellis.
J.R. Richard.
J.R. Rich, oh boy.
Ooh, that was nasty. 97 mile an hour fastball, 92 mile an hour slider. And I don't think he liked anybody, for sure.
Even on his
But
team.
if you got a hit off of him,
But Nolan Ryan was that way too.
Nolan was mean, but you just gave him respect, Cal Daniels hit a home run off of him, and oh my gosh, he was glaring at him as he ran on the bases. Next time up, he gets a double. And Nolan's hot. So he turns around to pick off Daniels at second base. Cal wasn't even leading. He drilled him right on second base. And one of the great stories was I was at a banquet one night. Bill Terry, the old batting champion, years ago, he was the manager. And he told me about this young kid they called up from the minor leagues, and they're paying him like $500 or something. So they bring a kid in, and he said, if you don't hit this guy coming up the plate, it's cost you $50. I mean, the kid, $50. I mean, it was
That's a lot.
So the guy steps in, kid winds up, throws it, goes between his helmet and his head. The guy goes down, that ball actually misses the helmet and the head, goes right between it. While the guy's getting back up, the catcher's throwing the ball back. The guy hits the guy while he's getting up in the batting spot. He said, I can't take this chance on this $50.
J.R. Richards was underrated too when you think of how nasty he was.
Oh, that's
nasty.
a
big guy.
He was 6'7", and nasty. And and he would come inside and you didn't lean over the plate. And
did you ever homer off Nolan Ryan?
I think I did. I should remember it, but I got like 7 or 8 concussions, so I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Did you ever have somebody you thought served one up to you?
No.
Because remember that was the story with Denny McClain and Mickey Mantle?
Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Denny would do that. Yeah, where do you want it? He'd just point at Mickey, where do you want it? And Mickey said, right here. Well, he's probably up 10-2 or something like that, and he's won 30 games already. It's not like they're going anywhere. But
And when did you meet Mantle?
At a spring training game in 1966. I went over and got his autograph.
Because you're both from Oklahoma.
Yeah, and he was it. He was Mickey Mantle. And that's what inspired me when I was 3 years old to hear Mickey Mantle batting. And I said, you can be from Oklahoma and play in the major leagues. I was asking my dad. And that's how I did it. And then he came to my, I had a golf tournament at the Heart Fund Invitational in Tampa, and he came to the tournament. And I have pictures on my wall of him pitching pennies with my dad outside of the Ramada Inn. And that night, Mickey comes up to me. I'm over there, and he said, hey, John, let's go have a drink. Mickey's asking me to go have a drink because right across the street is the Marriott. And it's a disco. We got those back in those days. It's discos. They got the glass balls and everything else. I said, sure. So we walk across the street to the Marriott, and we walk up to the door of the disco, and the big bouncer's there and says, John, you can come in, but we've already kicked out Mickey 3 times.
He was using you to get in. How much partying went on, though, back when you played?
Not for us. Not much for us.
You guys were that boring?
We were that conscientious, I think. In spring training when Sparky came, he gathered all the guys around, and he said, look, all right, you 25 are going to Cincinnati. So he said, now, there's 2 sets of rules here. Pete, Johnny, Joe, Joe, you don't have rules. I'm thinking, all right, even though we weren't staying out, it was like, but if you had something happen and you're fine. You don't have to sneak through the kitchen, do this stuff. And then he said, the rest of you guys, you're going to do this, this, and this. And then he said, and I'm thinking, there's something going on. He said, I don't have to worry about those 4 guys because they know what it takes. they know they'll be in. They'll have some time, but they're going to know what it takes to win. And it was just such a psychological thing for us. But we respected him. We really didn't. I mean, it was really, and a lot of times after a game, if you went to a restaurant or bar, you could take a team picture because we all hung out together.
Yeah, but no drinking.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
If you drink every day, you're fine.
Yeah. You're a professional.
Yeah, I mean, it's the pitcher that pitches, drinks after the game where he, and I've got a problem. Yeah, the rest of us should have had a problem.
If I had an open draft right now, and you're going to start your team, who are you starting with?
Mike Trout.
Okay. Who would be second?
Well, I really, if I'm going to go to position players, I really love Salvador Perez, as a catcher and what he does. I think the kid, Real Muto, which is the kid from Miami, that's not getting any recognition at all. I mean, he's hitting over 300. He's got home runs. He's got 45 RBIs. He's not getting it. I'm looking for a kid that will catch and provide me offense as well. I think Buster Posey calls as good a game as anybody in baseball right now. But I'm looking for a kid like Arenado. I'm looking for, Trout. I'm going to probably get.
Are you a Harper fan?
I guess I admire his talents. I think he doesn't do it mechanically the way he can. I think he doesn't utilize how much skill and talent he has because you can't be that way and hit 215.
Yeah.
I can hit 23 home runs, but that's when you make contact. But, I want to pull for him. He's been a kid that's been in the spotlight since he was 14 to 15 years old. That's all we've heard about and everything else. And,
But the fans like him.
And that's what really matters in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I've got to have production. I've got to have somebody like Tony Perez that's going to drive in the runs and gets up there in a situation. I want Altuve at second base. I'll take Correa at shortstop. There's a lot of guys out there, and then Machado and people like that I could build stuff around. But there's guys that have to mesh, and there's some great things going on with these kids that we'll overlook. Some of them aren't the names, but we'll overlook these kids.
But how different would your career be if you're playing now?
Well, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be in a jet in Acapulco or somewhere.
No, you'd be.
I mean, what would I do with $500 million?
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it.
What's the most you ever made?
$900,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was big money back then.
That was. I made 2.2 in my entire career. So I was 11,000 my first year. I was rookie of the year, made 20. I was MVP, made 40. I was MVP again, I made 80. I know it's big money. Okay, I know.
What did you do with all
that?
But
I had a lot of things slow me. 4 days after I turned 25, I had lung surgery. I had part of my lung taken out. I had major surgery which was the first staple surgery in America. And then I got ran over in 75, and it damaged my AC joint and crushed that. I had 6 cortisone shots every 3 weeks to finish the season.
Who ran you over?
Gary Matthews.
Ooh.
Pete threw a 17 hopper in from left field.
Damn that Pete Rose.
5 all-star positions.
I know.
But it was like, he pulled the pin. And then I was like, and we laugh about it all the time.
I would run on Pete.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be afraid to run on Pete Rose.
No, but he got me with a forearm, and then that was in April, and I had 6 cortisone shots every 3 weeks to finish the season. And so, but after the lung surgery, I wasn't the same player. I wasn't nearly as, what I thought I was.
But most you hit was 45 homers?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not
Is that all you hit is 45? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Aaron never hit 50.
No.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, really, truly remarkable that the guy with that many home runs never hit 50.
And, if he took away 755 home runs, he still had 3,000 hits.
Oh,
and 2,200 RBIs.
I think he's the most underrated player in baseball history.
You know what? Because he didn't have it. He didn't have the maze. He didn't have the thing.
Mantle.
I mean, if you look at him and people talk about, look how their body changed. Well, Hank was 165 or 70 pounds when he went to, play with Boston or Milwaukee, whatever it was.
He had those wrists, though.
Oh, and he'd lean out there and then, but he was the kindest gentleman.
Yes.
And then but you never saw it until he walked up to the plate, and then you saw the forearms.
But so you're catching when he ties Babe Ruth's home run record, right?
That's right.
So Jack Billingham's on the mound?
Very good, yes.
Okay. Do you remember the pitch you called that he hit out?
It was a little fastball out over the plate.
Okay.
But I shook his hand at home plate.
Oh, you did?
he never failed to say hello to me the first at bat. Hi, John. Hello, Henry. And to this day, we still, hi, John. Hello, Henry.
Did you understand what was going on at the time where death threats that
No.
with Hank?
No.
And the fact the commissioner made him, like, didn't he have a problem? He wanted him to set the record in Atlanta. Did
Yeah.
Bowie Kuhn say, I want you to go and set the record in Atlanta?
And then, of course, the first time up, he hits home run on 14. And then we held him. But another story about Hank is I was in center field and fielded his 3,000th hit.
No, I didn't know that.
I caught the first game of the doubleheader. He went 0 for 4, and I played center field in the second game, and he had a ball up the middle that I fielded. Why I didn't keep that ball, I still don't know.
You can't keep it.
I know, but
Come
now
on.
I look back.
If I had all of the current Hall of Famers, and I said one-time vote for Pete to be in the Hall of Fame, if I had everybody right now, or put him on the ballot, what do you think the current Hall of Famers would vote?
No.
Not even put him on the ballot?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the story is, but we should make him commissioner of baseball gambling. I mean, if it sounds so ridiculous, but if they're going to start gambling in baseball, maybe do it. But the thing that I tell people is, people who say yes that he should be, then I say, do you have kids? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, go home and tell your kids there's no more rules. And, it kind of like makes you think about what it is. Now, the thing that upsets all of us is that he had a chance the first year, the first day, when Newbaroth gave him the option of signing a paper. And he said, if you don't sign this, then Giamatti's going to nail you. And that's the way it happened. But I had 3 different meetings with commissioners, with Siegel and Bud, and I said, look, so we gave him, we wrote it out, had it written out, Ms. Schmitty and Morgan and I, and had it written out, do this, do this, do this, and then you'll be, you have a little time and then put you on but it didn't happen.
Yeah, no. And all he had to do, he had to show contrition and give back. Imagine if he went to all the minor leagues and just said, I'm going to tour the minor leagues for baseball and talk about what I just did do. I have career suicide. And if he did that,
he did.
I really feel like
he would have. That was the
commissioner,
offer.
Hall of Famers.
That was one of the offers, yeah.
What else did they ask Pete to do?
He had to admit it, but he had to go away and he had to stop and he had to admit to what he was doing. And he had to, say, I did this and I did that and admit to it. So
but what made him great, Johnny, is what has kept, like, he refused to give in to anybody, right?
Oh, yeah. He said, I'm going to beat it. And
here we are.
Yeah.
Do you think he gets in posthumously?
I don't know. I'll probably be dead by then, too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll let you know how it goes because I'd probably be around.
And taking care of yourself. I don't know. I looked around the Danettes, and I'm not sure because one of them saying, you know what, I could have that job over there. I know I can do it better than that.
Yeah. They're waiting for me. They check me sometimes when I'm sleeping if I'm still breathing there.
When they bring out the cuff and put it around you, how's the blood pressure, Dan?
I'm feeling good. It's great to see you. I appreciate you coming in.
I always love it.
Thank you.
See you guys all the time.
And thank you for
guys are brilliant and
stopping by.
Make it fun for all of us.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
He's Johnny Bench, the best catcher in baseball history.
Thank you.
At least in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, last century anyway. So.
Yeah. Are you the best catcher ever?
I think I am.
Okay. Who's second?
I'll surprise you with, I think, Carlton Fisk.
Okay. He might agree too.
Sure, why
he
not?
might say he's the best catcher.
If we're not going to blow our own horn, because somebody else say, he said that on the radio? I can't believe he said that. Why would he say that?
And did you call the pitch from Darcy that Fisk hit out for the home run?
Yeah, Pat had pitched the 11th inning and threw a really great 11th inning. And he went out to warm up in the 12th. And it was like, Dan, I got to tell you, you would have thrown it harder. You would have thrown it harder. And I mean, I was like reaching out for it. And I looked over in the dugout to Sparky and I said, no chance. We're not going any farther than this inning.
Really?
I said, no chance. I said, I don't care who it was. And the greatness of the game was that Carlton did it.
That was a
tough
tough
pitch, the way it
though.
happened. It was a
down.
low sinker, yeah.
It was down.
And you could have probably hit it off the wall.
Wow.
And then he to do all these gyrations and that was one of the first drama things, I think, in so many ways. I mean, we've seen Mazeroski running with the helmet around there, and we've seen things. But when Carlton did this and it actually hit the pole, you couldn't have scripted it more, because during that game, Bernie Carbo hits a 3-run pinch hit homer that ties the game up. They got at the bottom of the 9th. They got the bases loaded. We bring in Will McEnany. He crosses me up. I call for a slider. He throws a fastball. I don't know if I'll catch it. He fouls it off, goes down the left field line. George Foster throws a one-hopper to me. I tag him out, Denny Doyle, because Denny's on third. And here's Don Zimmer going, no, no, no. And Denny thought, he said, go, go, go. And he takes off, and I tag him out. And I called timeout, and I grabbed Will, and I said, Will, for God's sake, you crossed me up. I gave you the slider sign. And a left-handed reliever, is only could do it, and says, yeah, I guess I did. Well, sometimes those things work out. And then Dwight Evans made that. I think the ball, that was one of the greatest catches I've ever seen.
Clutch catches.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.